So today's walk, I feel as if I'm repeating myself a little, which to be honest I am. I'm going to do Glenbranter to the West Loch Eck loop. I've already got a video about that. But what's different this time is I'm going to take a slightly different way back, which again I talked about in that video. So if you walk further down the loch, which I didn't do last time, but if you walk further down the loch, then there's a way of turning up and joining a track further up into the forest that'll then bring you back onto the main track again. So that's what we'll be doing today. Don't think the weather's as nice today as it was the last time I was here. As usual with these videos, I'll point out the major sort of junctions and changes of direction. Again, I've covered most of it in my other West Loch Eck loop video, but that's the car park, the route to the lower Glenbranter car park. That's the road you come along. If you go right there, that'll take you up to the foot of the waterfall walk, which again is covered in another video. And what we want to do is cross the bridge here. If you go up to the right, that takes you to the various Glen Shellish or Glen Sheelish loop tracks. There's a lower one and there's two upper ones as well, which I don't advise you to take at the moment because they come all the way around the glen and then they come back way over there, but the bridge is still out to the best of my knowledge, so it's a long way to come to find you can't actually complete the loop. But we're going left here. We've just come up that track, and to get to this point it's just over 2 miles. And in my West Loch Eck video we turned round and that's the way back we went, but we today are going to be going down the loch side track, basically alongside the loch. It's a lovely old waterfall, lovely waterfall here, but again, unfortunately due to drainage issues because of the storms, rather than going down the drainage ditch there, which is blocked, and again I think that looks like poor maintenance, that bit, rather than a landslip as such. The water has actually now been diverted across the track, but that wee bundle of rocks over there, I'm going to stop there and have my lunch because A, I'm hungry, and B, I think it's about the only place I can sit, if I remember rightly, on this walk. So we're going to stop there. In fact, I take it back, this particular flooding isn't due to the blocked drainage ditches, although like I say, on the walk up here a lot of the drainage ditches just looked quite full and there was no sign of any landslip round about them, so they could really do with digging them out. But you can see there's a pipe there, so basically a culvert basically, and I'd imagine that comes out right here, where although not a landslip, it's obviously in the rains of last October when we got a whole day's worth of rain, a whole month's worth of rain in one day. It's obviously washed a lot of debris down and just filled up that hole there, which in turn has filled up the pipe. So they're going to need to get a digger out here and dig all that out and free up the entrance to the pipe, and then it should start to drain fine after that. But yeah, no signs of landslips, it's definitely just debris that's been carried down by the rain. I'd love to have seen that waterfall though at the height of the storm. That water must have been almost coming off there horizontally with the force of it. Anyway, lunchtime. Right, that's lunch finished, so I think the rain's going to get much heavier, but hey ho, I'm committed now. So we're going to go down this way. And if anyone's from the Forestry Commission's watching, or whatever it's called nowadays, this would be a great location for a wee picnic table there, or maybe over there. But yeah, get a picnic table down, this would be fantastic. So you don't have to sit in wet, cold rocks. My bum is a little bit on the damp side now, but it was worth it. You can just see over there Dornoch Point. It's an interesting wee place. I've done a few photo shoots there, and I'm sure there's all sorts of local stories about was it Robert the Bruce or William Wallace? It was one of those two. You know, basically there's an old island there. You can still get out to it when the water's really low, but even when the water's high, you can see where it is, because there's little trees grow out the water. And I believe there used to be a little house in that, what do you call it, a cranach, I think. It used to be on there, so I think William Wallace, because there's a building beyond it in white, which I think is Island Farm. So I think, so I don't know if it's Island Farm or the little cranach on the loch that this historical figure was meant to have stayed. But yeah, it used to be where I put my kayak in if I wanted to do the upper part of Loch Eck. But it's a lovely wee place, and like I say, I do have photographs of it. Now, if I remember rightly though, the turn off that we're looking for should be coming pretty soon, because I believe it's, if I remember rightly, it's kind of close to that, but on the other, obviously on the other side of the loch. But I think we're getting close. So I was right. That's the turn off we're going to take, going up to the right. It was only about 10 minutes on from the last video clip. You can't really see it through the trees, but we're almost directly opposite Dornoch Point. And to get to this point, it was just over 2 kilometres. So obviously to go back, that's 4 kilometres. So it's only, this is like a 4 kilometre extension of your walk. You know, so almost 3 miles. So, and it's definitely worth it. But yeah, if you take my video for the West Loch Eck loop from Glenbranter and add about 3 miles to it, then that's how long this one is. But again, I'll film more of the track when we get up there, but at the end of this video, if I remember, I'll put a wee screenshot of the route. So as I was navigating underneath that tree there, I heard something really big running through the forest here. It's probably a deer, hopefully not boar. But yeah, at first I thought it was a bird, but then the sounds it was making were far too noisy and heavy to be a bird. So somewhere in there there's at least one deer. Okay, it's a bit of a slog getting up here, and I'm wondering when the carbs from my baguette are going to kick in and give me some energy, because my energy levels are feeling pretty low at the moment, but I'm sure the carbs will kick in soon. Anywho, if you watch my West Loch Eck video, well, there's 2 West Loch Eck videos. If you watch the one from Benmore along West Loch Eck rather than the one from Glenbranter, but if you watch the Benmore one, we come up here and we went to the left here, and that eventually will take you down to Bernice or Bernice, and that then drops down eventually to the West Loch Eck trail again, and from there you can go down to Benmore, or you can carry on back up to Glenbranter if you want. But today we are taking this track, and hopefully that's most of the uphill bits done, but we shall see. So a new wee track to explore come the summer and the weather's a bit warmer and the days are a bit longer. I'm gonna go up there and see where that leads. I'm presuming it probably heads up above the tree line. I'm seeing some marks in the ground, so something's been up there. I'm only really seeing one, so it's maybe a trail bike. Anywho, something else to explore next time I'm up. I thought once I'd made that long climb up to the start of this track that would be it. It'd be pretty flat and straightforward on the way back, but unfortunately this trail is quite undulating. I've lost height twice, only to have to gain it again obviously at the far side. Plus I feel as if the general trend of it is upwards anyway, so I feel as if I've been uphill for a while. And like I say, those wee bits where we lose height aren't exactly helping, but I have to be honest, I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad I did it, even with this weather, because at the end of the day, seems like we've got to that bit of the trail that's not as well maintained. The bit we're just off, we still had a lot of chuckies on it. It felt like a forest road, but there was a very clear transition point where it just became like this, just very muddy and grassy. But I'm actually seeing a few bicycle tracks, so it's obvious that I'm not the first person to think about bringing the bike up here. Look at that. And there's different, you know, the tracks look to be different ages. Some of them look pretty fresh, like that one I just showed you, but others look a bit older, so somebody's obviously up here pretty regularly with their bike. So I'm definitely going to give it a go one of these days. I am so glad that I am now walking with my back to the wind, because the wind is picking up a bit. But so the wind is actually coming from the south, so when I said earlier it shifted to the north, I suspect that's just how it was hitting the hills and then coming back. So the wind is still definitely coming from the south, so obviously on my way to this track I was walking into the wind, but it's now at my back and it's nice and sheltered here as well, although the rain's still finding its way through. Ooh. Now I know what river that'll be. That'll be the river that comes out where I had my picnic, and it's looking pretty barren around here, so you can see where all those stones and earth came from during the flooding. But interestingly though, the actual culvert isn't blocked, and there doesn't seem to be much damage to this wee bridge. Oh, this is nice. I'm wondering if I've got time to take a photograph, because it is starting to get quite dark. Yeah, I'm going to try and take a photograph, so I managed to scramble down here. Looking at that, it's actually very lucky that that pipe didn't block. It obviously didn't, because there's no damage to the track up there. But there's tons of loose debris here, so that's obviously what ended up coming down to the West Loch Eck track. But I might have a wee look and see if I can move some of that before I take my photo. There we go. Jobs are good on. All unblocked. I mean, it doesn't make much difference at the moment because the water level's not that high, so the water was getting underneath the blockage, but if the water gets any higher, I think that might have been a problem. Yeah, when I'm leaving I'll see if I can actually, it's awful heavy, but when I'm leaving I'll see if I can actually get that up and out. I'll give that a go. But yeah, I want to get this photograph done now before it gets too dark. What I'd really like to do is get that rock in the foreground and then have this waterfall in the background. But the problem is I've just not got the space, and I've got my 24-70 lens on, which at 24mm is just not wide enough. If I brought my 12-24, you know, that's the shot there. But if I had my 12-24, I could have got that rock in the foreground and that, but that's very much a specialist lens, so I don't tend to take it with me when I go for hikes, unless I've got my full camera bag with me, which I don't this time round. But I'll take another couple, see if I can get a better angle, and then it'll be time to head back. Yeah, I managed to get my further back. I'm literally got 1 foot in the pipe. It's I literally cannot move any further back, but I don't know if you can see, but it looks like we can get that rock in the foreground. But because it's so close to the camera, I think I'm going to have to do what they call focus stack. So I'll have to take 2 shots. So one's focusing on the rock, so it's nice and focused, and then one's focused further back on the waterfall, so everything behind the rocks in focus. So I need to take 2 shots. Right, so I'd taken all my shots, and I was just getting ready to leave, and I realised that my lens had fogged up, because obviously I couldn't, because of the cramped conditions. I would normally check the photograph in the back of the camera, but I couldn't do that because it was so cramped. But when I noticed that my lens had fogged up, I've just had to take a whole other series of photographs after cleaning the lens, just in time for my battery to run out. So I think I've got my shots. Yeah, and now I need to clamber out of here without doing myself an injury. Right, here we go. Made it out okay. It's not until I start moving again that I realise just how soaked I am. I didn't realise when I put my rucksack down it was right underneath a side stream as well, so I had to empty out my rucksack, filled up with water. But I am absolutely soaking. My hat keeps falling down because it's completely soaked. I keep wringing it out. But I remember when I did this the very first time, I remember thinking this felt like a road. It's just so flat. You know, it doesn't feel like a forest track. It feels like a road that time's forgot. You know, in fact I think I took a photograph of it about 10 years ago. But it's pretty moody. I really like it here. Not too sure how well this will turn out in this GoPro, but I'm going to be walking through some mist. As if it wasn't moody enough as it is, now we've got mist as well. And oh yes. I would take a photograph, but knowing me, by the time I get the camera all set and everything, it'll have moved on, and B, the scene's just too cluttered. It wouldn't look great. I mean, it looks good to me, but ooh, a couple of fallen trees here. Oh god damn it. Oh, if I was 10 years younger, that would have been a lot easier. Yeah, so it looks great to the eye, but to the camera it's too cluttered over there. And here it's, oh mind you, that wee bit there where the curve goes round to the left, that might be a good shot. I don't know, don't know if I can be bothered, everything's soaking. I don't know if I can be bothered getting the camera out. Okay, I couldn't resist. I'm glad I did. Look at this. I like that. My camera's getting really low in juice, so when it does that it gets a bit unpredictable. Got that lovely misty, you get a couple of trees in the foreground, and you've even got like a little stream there as well, which is nice. And it's all far enough away that I can get it all in focus just with one shot. Right, I'm going to try and get a couple more shots before my battery dies. Actually, now I think about it, I think this is the river that feeds down to that big waterfall at the picnic place, because I think the last one was too far away. Another reason I think it's the right one. There you go, you can see the river Cur there, where it starts to curve before it goes into the top of the loch. So I reckon this is the river that leads down to that waterfall, which means we're getting really close. Round there, I think it curves round, lose a bit of height, and then it should join the main track. I have to say, I'm seeing the guy's tracks here as well, and they're looking really fresh. I reckon he made them either today or yesterday. But I'm impressed he's made it this far. Some of the ground is so muddy that I sink up to my shins. There's a couple of landslips between there and here. There's a couple of fallen trees. Yeah, and he's still going. That's what you call perseverance. Good on you, mate. I'm presuming that he was on the grass here. I'm not seeing his tracks in the main bit. But yeah, I think we're getting close. I said that last time. But, you know, like a stopped clock, if I say it often enough, I'm going to be right eventually. And there he is again. I thought he'd given up because I couldn't see his track for ages, but I think he must have been sticking to the grass verge. Or she, could be she. It's a weird feeling actually, you know that you're standing in the same place as somebody. The only thing that separates you is time. Don't know, is that too weird? Is that too weird a thought? And that's the other thing about walking through forest. You may be sheltered from the rain, but every time there's a gust, it's like you get these big fat drops of water down on you. It's like walking into a shower. Okay, another landslip, but oh, we're getting really close now. I can feel it. I can feel it in my water. There we go. There's a few of these holes here as well. That's about the third or fourth one I've seen. Don't know if that's a natural phenomenon or if some animal keeps burrowing. Like, I don't know, a rabbit or a badger maybe. Oh god, what's this? Right, I'm only seeing one set of bike tracks, so I'm presuming the guy didn't have to turn round, but alright, I'm going to have to work my way through all that. It's the same as last time I did the West Loch Eck walk. I was near the end and there was a big landslip that basically made it a nightmare to get round. It always seems to be at the end of the walk, not the start. Oh god, right, let's see if we can get through. Oh man, I'm getting deja vu all over again. There were two ways to get around that tree. One was to go up the hill and then round the base of it, and that's the approach I did last time, and that was a nightmare because the soil was so loose and so deep, and I was a bit worried about kicking off another landslip. So I decided to go the other way this time, which is to go down the hill through the forest to get round the tree that way. It took a while because it was very, very steep, and there wasn't an awful lot in the way of places for my feet to grab. So I now have a decision to make as to whether to go back up the hill and join the track up there and keep my fingers crossed there's not another landslip, or go down the hill, because I think that's the lower trail down there, But again, if I remember from last time, that trail is actually cut out the hillside, so I could see me getting down to the trail and not being able to join it because it's just a sheer like 8 foot, 10 foot drop. So I think what I'm going to try and do is go up in a diagonal and join the track up there. Wish me luck. Okay, that is something I definitely don't want to have to repeat. That slope is so steep, and half the branches I grabbed onto for balance or to help pull me up just snapped off in my hand. But got there. We're on the other side of the landfall. But oh man, I'm knackered. It didn't help with the fact that when I was down there traversing across, a loose boulder came bouncing down the hillside. I was careful not to dislodge anything, but obviously I did. And after I passed it, I decided to head off down the hill. But it did give me a wee bit of a fright, I have to be honest. But oh no, I'm not doing that again. It's just such a shame, you know. There are so many fantastic tracks in this area to walk and cycle, and you just don't know which ones are blocked like that, and you don't know which ones have these horrible scarring on them, so that if you're on your bike you spend more time off it basically navigating around the holes in the road than you actually do cycling. You know, it's such a shame. When you're out walking, you just want to walk. You don't want to be constantly trying to negotiate hazards and constantly doing risk analysis, trying to figure out what's the safest way to get around anything. And you could turn back, but you know for a fact it's going to be pitch black by the time you get back. You know, it's just, I don't know. I'm sure at some point all these tracks will get sorted, but it's just going to take a while. Oh man, it's just over there I want to get to, because that's the trail down there. Look at this, 10 kilometres I've walked with no real issues, and then what, in the last 500 metres we've had a down tree completely blocking a path, and then I'm somehow going to have to navigate down through all that to join the trail. Oh god, I can see it there, just through there you can see it. Alright, well, and this stuff is deep. I've already been up to my shins in it. Right, again, wish me luck. Yay, made it. To be honest, I was heartened by the fact that I did see some footprints in the mud. So, in fact, there's one there. So, and there's a bike track. How the hell did that cyclist navigate that downed tree up there and then get his bike through all this? That's amazing. There's no way I could have done it. But yeah, as soon as I saw the footprints I thought, there's obviously, they were all coming this way, not the other way, so I thought obviously it's possible to get through, and I did. And as predicted, there's the main track there. So this is a good wee extra long walk for West Loch Eck, especially if you like mountain climbing and you're a good limbo dancer and you get long legs to get over fallen trees. So if you get long legs, you're a limbo dancer and you can climb up almost sheer hillsides, then this is definitely the walk for you. Oh, I've never been so glad to see a foot. Well, yeah, there was one other time I was even more glad, and that's when I was stuck in a hill with my bike in the rain in the dark, and nearly all the ways off the hill were blocked by landslides. So eventually when I found a track off the hill that wasn't blocked, I could just about go down on my hands and knees and kiss the ground. But I'm pretty glad to see this track, I have to be honest. But I'm not just soaking, but I'm pretty much covered in mud as well. But we got there. So about another two miles 3 most, back to the car. I have to hand it to those forestry guys. Last time I was here, which was about, what, 4 or 5 months ago, there were 4 different blockages of this path, with trees down and landslips and stuff. One was easy to get round, 2 of them were a bit more difficult, and one was a complete and utter nightmare to get round. But on this main track here, they're all gone. And you can still see signs that they were there. You can still see the scarring in the hillside. You can still see the trees all cut up at the side of the track. But the guys have done well. But like I say, they've got their work cut out for them. You know, all the tracks around here need a bit of work. But so far so good. Getting close to the end of the walk. That's Glenbranter just over there. Glenshelish just over there. I reckon another 20 minutes and we'll be back at the car. So that's us on the home straight now. Just at the tail end of Glenshelish. Approaching Glenbranter. 10 more minutes and I'll be back in a nice, warm, dry car. I have to be honest, I don't think I could get any wetter than if I'd actually jumped in the loch myself. And I'm just dripping. My hat keeps falling down over my eyes because it's so sodden with water. And it's been just coming up for 12 kilometres, that's about 9 miles. So my poor wee legs are telling me about it. But definitely don't regret it. I thoroughly enjoyed that walk. Even with all the hassles it presented. You know, a little bit of adversity, you know, makes a walk much more memorable, I suppose. There's probably plenty of walks that I've done that were pretty straightforward, really nice walks, and I just don't remember them because they were just another walk, even though they were pretty. But you always remember the walks where something unusual, unexpected or troublesome happens. So yeah, I remember that one. Yes, that feeling when I thought I was going to start sliding down the hill when I lost my footing and I had to grab onto a tree. That was a good one. If I only had my GoPro and my chest harness, that would have given you a good laugh. Anywho, I think I'll just go off now. Like I say, I'm recording this route, so hopefully if I remember I'll stick the route on the end of this video. As usual, thank you very much for watching. From your nice dry warm house, probably with a nice drink in your hands. So see you in the next video.